Well, hey, hi, howdy, hello. It's me, Waddles, and let's get deep. Take a seat in that chair right over there and get ready to do some emotional dumping, because today's the perfect day for taking a large... Wait. No. Today is finally the day. Last year, near the end of the development of the Caves and Cliffs update, I made a video going over the entire Caves and Cliffs iceberg. I had a lot of fun making that video, and I think you guys liked it too. So today, we're finally back in the saddle again. I've got my hands on a Wild Update Iceberg. We're gonna start at the tippy top of this Wild Update Iceberg, and slowly move our way down to the deepest depths of it, explaining everything along the way. I'd like to send a big shout out to my favorite Minecraft news account over on Twitter for this iceberg, because they made it for me. It's beautiful, it's perfection, and if you want to stay up to date with all the Minecraft stuff, subscribe here, and follow there. Without further delay, it's time you crack open a cold one, and sit back and dive into that delicious looking bag of the Waddles Dorito flavor, and sit back and enjoy. Let's go for a ride, friends. Starting with the tippy top of the iceberg, we've got layer number 1. Now, layer number 1 mainly consists of Wild Update features. In other words, things you might be familiar with by now. Our first entry is the Skulk Shrieker. The wonderful Skulk Shrieker. This thing, right next to me. The strangest looking block in the entire game. You probably know about it already, so fun fact, this wasn't how the Skulk Shrieker originally looked, actually. It looked completely different, and actually, like, way worse in my opinion. Be noisy and set one of these things off 4 times, and you'll find yourself the next entry. The Beautiful Warden, a feature that we definitely have all heard about by now. This is Minecraft's brand new biggest, baddest, and most dangerous beast ever. This is another one of those features that I've talked about for more time than the Titanic was even floating on the water. So, a little fun fact, the Warden is allegedly blind, except if we spectate it, it's not really actually blind at all. It's a lie. Next entry is found down here on the ground. Mud. Always beautiful looking. Or, at least, to some people, it's beautiful. Did you know that the devs trialed like a million different versions of the mud texture before landing on this gray one? Next up, we've got the LA, LI, or LE. Nobody really knows how to say it. No matter how you say it, it's undeniable. The LA was the winner of the mob vote in 2021. You'll have to fact check me on this one, but I think the LA might be the quickest mob vote feature or like biome vote feature to make it into the game. Making it into the game like 6 months after we voted on it. It was pretty quick. They pick up items and bring them to you. And finally, last but not least for the first layer, the great tragedy of our times. Always painful. It's so painful I almost don't even want to talk about it again. Oh, the Fireflies. Fireflies were cancelled, infamously, from the Wild Update. The only fully announced feature that was cut. Wildly enough, the Fireflies were actually completely cut from the Wild Update because they can poison some frogs. Yeah, so... Fireflies. Layer 1 of the iceberg, done and dusted. We're moving on to layer 2, but before that, let's play a little game with the iceberg. Here's the whole chart with some numbers on it. Down below the video in the comments, add one feature to this iceberg, and what layer would you put it on? Tell me all about it. Beginning layer number 2 with an absolute banger. Now, first things first, we got Reinforced Deep Slate. One of the most interesting looking blocks in the entire game. Reinforced Deep Slate is famously a block that you will only be able to find inside of the ancient city, generating in this frame looking thing. The Reinforced Deep Slate block is clearly reinforced with something. If you put it down, it almost looks like bones or like a spine or something. It's pretty spooky stuff. And segueing perfectly from Reinforced Deep Slate over to brand new Dimension. Maybe? Well, we don't know. It is heavily speculated by many inside of the community that this portal is, well, this portal is a portal that leads to a new dimension. As of this day, like 7 months after the official release of the Wild Update, it's still unconfirmed. Portal or not, this thing behind me is definitely mysterious. Because this thing doesn't really do anything right now, it's up to you and your imagination when it comes to coming up with a use for it. Maybe one of those uses could be filling this thing all the way in with that brand new shiny frog light block, the next entry on our iceberg. The frog light block is a brand new light block added to the game in the Wild Update. It is pretty cool. It's a rotational light source block with a little bit of color going on. Just like the frog added in this update, the frog light block comes in 3 fancy colors: yellow, green, and purple. Next up on our iceberg today, we've got a pretty cool one, the Copper Golem. The Copper Golem was the runner-up to the Alley in the 2021 mob vote. The Copper Golem would have basically been this new golem mob that walks around and pushes buttons randomly. Slowly but surely, the Copper Golem would oxidize and slowly turn into a statue. That statue concept is a concept they would later reuse with the tough golem. The copper golem lost the vote though, so it didn't end up making it into the game. Did you vote for it? Let's move on to the most plain, ugly, disgusting. Wait a second, this isn't plain, ugly, or disgusting. Oh, it's beautiful. Thanks to the Wilder Wild mod. The birch forest biome. Yeah, this was a big controversy this past year. If you want to know more about the controversy, check out the controversial video next. But, the birch forest update. An update that was just concept, I guess. But, yeah, could have been amazing. Moving on from the sad disappointment and mild trauma that is the birch forest biome, let's go to the next layer of the iceberg. Layer number 3. We're starting to get a little bit deep. We'll kick layer number 3 off with renewable clay. Yes, clay that is renewable. And clay that is renewable is now officially a thing in the Minecraft 1.19 Wild Update. Except it also kind of, in a way, if you know your ways around the game, was a renewable thing before. Are you just not that good and always find yourself walking straight into completely avoidable situations? Well, my friend, then that sweet brand new recovery compass is the item for you. The recovery compass was a brand new type of compass out of the game of the Wild Update. If you hold a recovery compass and follow the needle, it'll lead you straight back to where you last, to where you last had that incident, we'll say. Sometimes, if you're lucky enough, inside of the right mountain biome, you'll be able to find a goat spawning. This is definitely not the right mountain biome, but here's a goat anyways. Then, if you're even luckier, you can get that goat to smash its head into one of the blocks that it spawns by, like, for example, ice. That'll work. When it smashes its head into that block, it'll drop a goat horn, and oh boy, the goat horn is maybe, by far, the most useful thing of the entire Wild Update. I mean, look at this thing. We've got 8 different versions of the goat horn, including the THX goat horn. The thing about this that makes it the most useful thing is the fact that, well, you can use it. There we go. It's Call. The goat horn called Call is the THX goat horn. It's referring to, well, this. Definitely kind of sounds similar, right? Next up, my friendly goat friend, and all of those of you watching as well, we've got a Music Disc 5. Music Disc 5 is a tricky one. Honestly, it could be a whole video of its own. If we listen to the story being told with sound in Music Disc 5, it's that of some kind of army moving on something, and there's something bad happening. Or at least that's how I interpret it. Again, Disc 5, there's a lot to it, but long story short, it's a brand new, mysterious music disc, and look at you, you monster. Why do you like this sound? You're so weird. And speaking of the narcissistic star of the show, our next entry is a little bit mysterious. It's called Alley Allays. I don't really know what this entry is actually getting at, to be honest. I did a little bit of research on Alley Allays, and all that really came up was more information on the alley. So if any of you know what Alley Allays could mean, please let me know about it down below. Let's move on to the next layer. For layer number 4, getting pretty deep here, we'll begin with the most basic one, at least if you're on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. If you're on Minecraft Bedrock Edition, and you create a new world in the Wild Update, you've got a brand new, beautiful, create a new world UI screen. It looks so good, it's clean, I love it, I'm envious of it as a Java player. It just looks great, right? Speaking of that brand new Music Disc 5 that we were just talking about a second ago, there's actually a completely different way to get this thing. It's not really, whoa, that's bad, that's really bad. You see this disc? Well, it's not like most music discs. To get this disc, you're gonna need to head down to the ancient city and scour through every loot chest in sight. Eventually, with enough skill and luck, you'll find yourself a lot of music disc shards. To fully unravel the mysteries behind disc number 5, or at least begin to, you're gonna need disc fragments or disc shards for the Music Disc 5. Minecraft Live 2021. Rewind flashback to jungle-colored mangrove wood. Can you guys imagine what it would have been like if this thing was added into the game like this? Wow. In fact, trick question, you definitely could, because it's essentially junglewood. This is Junglewood 2.0, and look at it. It's so much Junglewood that Junglewood was literally in the background during the reveal of this thing. Kind of crazy. After being shown off in its original Junglewood 2.0 form at Minecraft Live 2021, the community came at the devs with feedback and said, hey, isn't it a jungle wood? So the devs listened, and they changed it to one of the most beautiful wood colors in the entire game, the red mangrove wood. In hindsight, 2021 was a rough year for the devs, and I don't know, I feel like this is one win that always gets overlooked. Like, they listened to the community. They totally could have added Jungle Wood 2.0, but instead, changed it to that delicious red wood. I don't know. That's at least one W for the devs last year. Last but not least, before we move on and get even deeper, we've got an entry called Soul Shards. Now, if we go ahead and check out in the creative inventory and look up shards, we have Amethyst Shard, Prismarine Shard, and then an Echo Shard. I said shard. If we look up Soul Shard, we get absolutely nothing. So I'm pretty sure this entry is referring to the Echo Shard item. After looking at this particular iceberg, my memory lit up with a memory. I swore that the almost useless Echo Shard item was at one point named a Soul Shard when it was added to the game or something, and then maybe it was like changed later, but no. Now looking back to when it was added, new features 22W14A, an Echo Shard. Look, I don't know if it's just me or what. I think maybe I might have got it wrong in a snapshot video, but you tell me this isn't a new Mandela effect. Was this thing not named or referred to somewhere as a Soul Shard at first? Anyways, that's strange, almost too strange. Listen to this. So this mod does it a little bit different than how it was originally planned, but the Copper Horn. The Copper Horn was originally a goat horn upgrade that was going to be able to be crafted in the Wild Update, but for some reason, the devs ended up cutting it. They weren't really happy with the concept. If it did actually make it into the game, we would have ended up with just as many Copper Horns as we have goat horns. This definitely could have been a fun one to play around with, like... you could literally make music. Hollow logs, an amazing concept. Maybe my favorite concept pulled from that Birch Forest update concept art. Hollow logs being in Minecraft, meaning logs that you could like see right through, maybe even move right through. Oh my gosh, this could have been amazing. I don't know on this one if it could ever actually make it into the game. It feels like a little bit more advanced than Minecraft is really willing to do, but I mean, that again, maybe the devs will come back and surprise me one day, but hollow logs. That could have been so cool, especially if you wander through the forest and find these old logs just sitting on the ground, hollow and empty. Again, really cool. The Swift Sneak enchantment. You might have heard about it. A brand new enchantment, the only one added to the game in the Wild Update. The Swift Sneak enchantment is nowadays, in current full release form, an enchantment for leggings. An expensive one too. But did you know, or do you remember, when the Swift Sneak enchantment, it was actually for boots. And I think it was February of last year, the devs released an experimental Deep Dark snapshot. In that experimental snapshot, the Swift Sneak enchantment was a boot enchantment, and it was mutually exclusive with the other boot enchantments, like Depth Strider. For a brief moment in history, you actually had to make the decision between Swift Sneak, Soul Speed, and Depth Strider. Which one will you choose? And so, here we are, alone in the lush caves. Oh, what's that down there? I mean, a skeleton, yes, for sure, and an Enderman. But what is this? We're not alone in the lush caves biome. Oh, falling from the ceiling. It's the other mob. The glare. The glare would have fit perfectly, like so perfectly, in the lush caves biome. Look at this thing. It's a tiny little mob that would have flown around and found dark spots in your world for you, helping light it up. Instead, we chose the alley, which I think was the right choice, but so close. We almost had this thing flying around. As a small side note, I feel like Mob Vote 2021 is where the devs finally started to like really go off with these mob concepts. All three of them were pretty cool in their own right. When it comes to concept art, for the Wild Update, the devs were on fire. This next one, another fire heat one. The stone chests. Oh my gosh. When the devs were going through iterations and ideas for the ancient city, one of those ideas was a stone chest item. And this stone chest item, basically, it would have been like harder to open, causing a lot of noise and vibrations. How the Wild Update mod does it is, it's like time too. So like, you open it up, you gotta take things out of it quickly before the chest slams shut on you. Again, even more vibrations. What a cool idea. I can't believe this one didn't make it. So my friends, here we are. Not only the bottom of the world, but also the very bottom, the deepest depths of our iceberg chart today. Now, pretty much every entry on this part of the iceberg is original concept for the Wild Update. If you didn't know, the Wild Update went through lots of different developmental phases, especially the Deep Dark and the Warden and things like that. Entry number 1, the Neon, a Deep Dark biome. Oh my gosh, this could have been so cool. One of the early concepts for the Deep Dark biome was not dark at all. Instead, the Deep Dark biome, the skulk inside of it, or whatever the stuff was going to be this like glowing and neon stuff. Would have been amazing. I mean, look, like, don't get me wrong, I think I'm way happier with like the deep and dark version of the Deep Dark biome, but like the idea of a neon biome, maybe that's something they could revisit later on. It's a cool concept. Segueing from the neon biome to the holophobia biome, or a trypophobia biome for, like, technically, I don't know. The trypophobia biome and trypophobia warden, gonna throw that one in here too with it. It was another Deep Dark biome concept. I'm pretty glad that the devs didn't add this version of the biome, because not that I had trypophobia or anything, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's just kind of like weird. The Warden went through so many different iterations, including the beautiful, wonderful Stalker. Wait, hey, that was the Trypophobia one. Trypophobia Warden in game, oh my gosh, it's like horrifying. But by far, my favorite concept for the Warden was the sweet, the beautiful, the Stalker. A video via me, but then video inside of this video via King B-Dogs on Twitter. One of the original concepts for the Warden was this monstrosity right here, the Stalker. It's like tall, it's creepy, look at the chest, it's like tentacles coming out of it or something. Oh yeah, and it turns into like a dog too. This thing is so creepy. An absolutely amazing Warden concept. Now, while we're talking about Warden concepts, let's talk about the Hollow. I believe the Hollow, if I am correct about this, was an original name for the Warden. The Warden, well, it wasn't always called the Warden. Like I said, this thing was originally called the Stalker right here, but also the Hollow, another creepy name for the Warden. Even though I'm absolutely in love with the Stalker, and the Trypophobia Warden was really cool too, I feel like the devs made all the right choices when it comes to the Warden and how it actually ended up getting implemented. Like, all the other versions are cool, but this version of the Warden, I feel like it makes the most sense and fits the best into Minecraft. Next up, we've got stone pots and vases, and get ready for disappointment, because if you didn't hear about this one, your reality is going to get way sadder, so maybe just skip ahead if you want. Stone pots and vases were originally a concept for the ancient city. Essentially, the ancient city, instead of just having that plain old chest everywhere, would have had stone pots and vases sitting around, and you would break these containers open, and then voila, inside of there, you get the loot. It's such a cool idea and fits perfectly into the ancient city. It also makes the ancient city, in my opinion, feel even more ancient and strange, but I guess there just wasn't time or something. It got caught from the Wild Update. Not so fun fact, did you know the Wild Update came with 4 brand new paintings? However, did you know these 4 brand new paintings? If you play on Bedrock Edition, they're not really brand new, they've been there for years, and also, they're not accessible in survival mode for some reason. If you want to check out these paintings, you're going to need to use commands like these ones right here. They're pretty nice paintings, and honestly, I don't know why they wouldn't add them into survival. Personally, I feel like, it's a painting. Do the paintings have much implications in the form of lore or anything like that? I don't know. I feel like more paintings are always a good thing. And these paintings, they're nice. I like the simple colorness. It's pretty cool. The water one would fit really nicely in like an ice palace or something. In Minecraft, nowadays, we've got 3 different colors of the frog. We got that warm white frog right there. And biome slightly less warm, but still not cold. We got that delicious looking orange frog. It looks really good. Last and definitely not least, in fact, the best, in cold biomes. Alright, hold on. Last and not least, in biomes that are a little bit colder, we get that beautiful green frog. This is by far my favorite one. How about that blue frog? Yeah, that's right, blue frog. I don't think the blue frog ever made it very far past the concept stage of development, but at one point, the devs were considering adding a blue frog variant into the game as well. That would have been so cool. Not only would a blue frog have looked so cool, so tough, but also the blue frog light, or I suppose in other words, sea lanterns. Maybe that's why they didn't have that one. So look, as a justification for this next one, I would say 30 out of the 32 entries total, it's not bad. Like, I've told you all about 30 of them. Finally, I hate to end on this note, but finally, we ended with something called the Shade. Now, the Shade is something that I'm not too sure about. I don't know what it's talking about here. The Shade definitely could be referring to another Warden concept name, and I'm just missing it. In a sense, the shade could maybe also refer to the blindness effect added to the game in the Wild Update. But I don't know. When I did a little bit of digging on this shade entry, I found this mob right here, but I'm pretty sure this is just from some kind of Minecraft mod or something. The concept is really cool though, and would definitely fit into the Wild Update. Shades are a hostile mob that'll only spawn below Y30. They're a shadow on the ground, but they deal damage. Upon taking damage, it becomes fully visible. And I mean, look at this model right here too. Maybe I need to dive into whatever mod this is. If you know the real answer to that shade entry, please let me know about that one down below. And that's the Wild Update Iceberg. From the warm mangrove swamp biome to the alien deep dark biome, the Wild Update was kind of all over the place. Again, I'd like to send a huge thank you to that Minecraft news account. I'm going to leave a link to it down in the description below because without that account, this wouldn't have been possible. A huge thank you for that iceberg chart. I love these things. And this is a tradition I would honestly love to keep going with the future Minecraft updates like 1.20, 1.21, and so on. If you're watching this video in the future and 1.21 is out and I haven't made an iceberg yet, maybe I'm still looking for one. And if you'd like to make one, please make one and send it to me. r/Waddles. I'd like to wrap things up with a great big thank you to my patrons, Kira and Maeve, The Great Vegeta, Michael H, Rob CK, and Doug. Appreciate you. Like, subscribe, and until next time, friends, it's been me, Waddles. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.